I'm in my favorite tree again at the park, which I've kind of claimed as my own. And it's nice because once you're in here, no one can really see you because all the branches are like holding you in. Fantastic. What I want to talk to you about today is spotting otherworldly beings, because there's a trick to it. And first of all, this doesn't go for all otherworldly beings. Mostly what I'm talking is like Davic stuff, so fairies, also angels you can spot like this, and ETs not really, not so much. And there's been a lot of stuff lately about my angels and ETs video, and I'm gonna post another one on it because there's some refinement that needs to happen to that, because when I posted the video I was talking about what's biblically referred to as angels. So not really what we refer to it nowadays as angels. Those are different. They're technically extraterrestrial because they didn't evolve the first time on Earth. However, they're not like grays. So there is a difference there, and I'll tell you about it another time. But today, what I'll tell you about is spotting the fairies and the angels and little like I don't know, just like little entities that are kind of around, and they're around just like we're around, you know. I mean, of course, we're not the only humanish type things living here because there are so many different dimensions. And now that all of our dimensions are like collapsing together in a good way, well, it's not so much that they're collapsing together, it's that humans are coming out of their mental illness that kept them from seeing them, because they could all see each other. You know, angels can talk to fairies, can talk to ETs, and they're all aware of each other and of us, and we just weren't aware of any of them for the last however many thousand years. So anyway, oh, there's a mower coming. I wonder if it's gonna pass it. Noise is very disruptive. I know it needs to be done, but okay. So anyway, back to what I was saying. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so they can all see each other. We can't see any of them, but now we're coming back and we are being able to perceive them. But there are a couple tricks to do it if you want to do it. I mean, first of all, there's getting the feeling of where they're going to be. And right now I'll talk mostly about fairies, and then I'll tell you about angels in a minute. But the thing with fairies is, first of all, natural light is much, 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 much better. I mean, I've seen fairies and I've seen angels inside, but it was always in a room where there were like huge windows and all this natural light streaming in. And it's much harder to see it. You can see it with artificial light, but I just don't think it's as easy. Whew. The mower like kicked back. It sounded like a gunshot. Anyway, so when I was first seeing these things, because it hasn't been happening for very long, and I don't think that I'm done. Like, I think that there will be this period of integration, and then I'll learn more and we'll be able to share more with you about it. But as far as where it is right now, because this is a pretty cool spot, and those of you who haven't experienced this yet, or who have but don't know what it is, I think it'll be useful to kind of see what's going on from another's perspective. So what happened was, when I was living in the mountains, which is like fairy land, I mean, it even looks like a fairy tale out there with the rolling hills and the mountains and the streams and da-da-da. Anyway, I would be outside and I would just be sitting there and I would see like a wake go across my vision. And first, I know what some of you will say, well, oh, it's just those floater things in your eyes that sometimes you see that'll look like an orb, or look like a line moving across, and I know what those are. And yes, I do see those, and I know that they're not what this thing was. What this thing was like when you're at a pond or a stream and you see those little water bugs moving across the water and they send out that little wake behind them that's like a V-shaped wake. It was like that, but rather than going across water, it went across the whole ripple of wherever I was looking. So it wasn't like complete visual space. It would be like a small one that just went across right there, or it would be even a large one like the size of a person or something that would just go and then be gone. And for a long time I would talk to my friends who were seeing the same thing, and I would say, what is the wake? What is the wake? Because I know it's something, and whenever you look at it, there's nothing there. And it was usually in kind of the corner of your eye, not all the way over in the peripherals, although sometimes it was there. But usually when I would see it, it would be just off my center of vision, and sometimes toward the end, it was right in my center of vision that I would see it. A lot of times it would be over one like tree, like I'd be sitting there looking at a bunch of trees, and one of the trees would keep having this wake over it, or I would just be hanging out in the grass sunbathing or something, and there would be this wake that went across right next to me, and I was like, what is that? What's there? I know that it's something. What could it be? And when I figured out what it was the first time that I saw an angel with my physical eyes. And what that looked like was, well, first I saw the wake, and it was the day before I saw the actual angel. I was sitting in this meeting in this great big room where there were all these people sitting in a circle, and there was all this natural light coming in, huge windows that took up the whole wall of the room. And there were about maybe 15 or 16 people. We were all sitting in a circle talking about a project. And over the circle, so the circle, 15 big and a little bit of space between each person, so it was a pretty large circle, and we were all in chairs, there was this thing that made a wake in the air over the top of the circle, and the wake looked round in the front, and then it V'd out in the back, like that, like this. And I just remember looking at it, because it was fast, it always is, and then by the time you're like, oh my gosh, what was that, then it's over. But I remember seeing it and thinking, I have to act normal right now because I'm around people and I can't be like, oh my gosh, what was that thing I just saw? So I waited and I didn't say anything, but I really started looking around intently because I wanted to see what was going to happen. And a couple minutes later, sure enough, and it really was just a couple minutes, maybe 2 minutes tops, I see the same thing go the other way across the circle. And it was like this ball with this wake behind it. And it went this way. And it was just the wake. There was nothing. I didn't see anything. I just saw the wake moving. And it was deliberate. And it wasn't a floater. It wasn't something on the lens of my eyes. It distorted what was behind it. It was as if a wave just went across my entire visual field, but in the shape of that kind of soft V or straight edged U. So I'm sitting there and wondering, okay, well, I know I saw that. Oh, and another thing about these wakes is they're in space. Like, it's not like out there in your visual field like you see the static in the sky. It's more like it's right here, and you can tell three-dimensionally that it's in the middle. It's not somewhere off somewhere or just far away or just like having a blurred eyesight issue or something like that. It's definitely something, but it just looks like a pattern. So anyway, the next morning I was walking into that same building next to someone, and as we walk in, I'm about to go this way and he's about to go that way, and as I start to turn, in the corner of my eye I see something made of light, and I was like, huh. And about 2 beats later, after I've gone into this room that I was going into, I stopped and I said, wait a second, because what my brain tried to do really fast was cover it up and say, oh, well, that must have been the rising sun bouncing in the door that we just come in and reflecting off of that mirror down the way and refracting in my eye in a funny way that made that visual effect. And so all that happened, boom, boom, split second in my brain. And so I said, wait a second, a couple of beats later. A, the sun doesn't rise and shine in that door. It rises on the other side of the building. B, light doesn't work like that. And C, your eyeball doesn't work like that. It doesn't just refract it and make this thing. So backing up, what did I see? What did I see? And then I remembered what I saw, because had I not stopped and said, wait a second, brain, that does not make any sense, then it wouldn't have registered at all. I kind of have a feeling that happens to a lot of us a lot of the time. I wonder what else we're not seeing. Anyway, so I backed up in my memory. I said, okay, what is it that I saw? And I realized that what I saw was floating in the air, I swear, and it was out of the corner of my eye, not that far in the corner. Maybe if the front is 12 o'clock, this was maybe like 10 o'clock, not even, maybe like 9:30, but not even that far. And what it was this ball that was flying in this undulating way. It was at about shoulder level with him. It was about yay big, maybe a little smaller, and it had this whole wave go out behind it, and it was moving. So what it kind of reminded me of, what it kind of reminded me of was like those ghosts that people make at Halloween by putting a balloon and a sheet over it, that's what it looked like. But the difference was it was made of light, and it was like moving and shimmering, and it reminded me a lot of when you look out at the ocean or a great big lake or body of water, and the breeze is slightly going, and so there are all those little ripples in the water and all those spots where light is like reflected back at you, but the background is blue and the light is white. It was like that, but it was the opposite. The background was white, and the refractions, or the like little accents, were blue. And so I was shocked, and at that moment I knew that was an angel. And it's funny because you think that angels are these beings with wings, but I don't think that that's true, because I knew that that was an angel. And perhaps it's that I saw it in its energy form, and it can make forms in human forms, which is, I think, is the case. So anyway, that was really cool. But the way that it was I saw the wake first, and then I wasn't looking for it. I was thinking about something totally different, and then I saw it, and then I tried to delete it out of my brain, and then I went against that, and then I realized what I saw. So, and this is me who's very open. So there's a lot that you have to get through, but once you're through it, you're through it. Anyway, the grass is being cut nearby, so I think I need to end this video, but I will tell you more later about how to actually communicate with the otherworldly beings. And there are also a couple other ways that pop out, like seeing faces in a tree, or in a clump of leaves, or even like in wallpaper, or I've seen like things in my house kind of make shapes that never do before and never do again. And I think it's just our brains recreating whatever this thing is, or either this being showing itself to us, kind of like the white noise phenomenon, only with the visual instead. But anyway, that's what I have for you. I'm gonna let you go because this is a little loud, and I don't even know if you can hear me at this point. But have a great day. I think I'll record another video before the end of the day, so I will be back with you again soon. Go in peace. I will see you again later.